Hi, welcome to Daily Dose of Anime Recaps. In this video, we will be taking a look at the first 4 episodes of the series Romantic Killer. A high school teenager, Anzu, is dragged into a real-life romantic video game and is supposed to choose a handsome guy for dating. She is forced to lose her favorite things, chocolates, movies, and even her pet cat for the game. Will she ever be able to get her favorites back, or will she fall in love with one of the handsome boys in the game? Before we begin, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you don't miss the next episodes. The episode opens with the introduction of a beautiful girl, Anzu, a freshman in high school who only has 3 passions in life: video games, chocolate, and her pet cat, Momohiko. Since her childhood, she loves playing video games with her male friends but has no love interest in them. While other students go out and enjoy clubs and dating, Anzu stays at her house playing video games and completing the assigned missions in the games. One day, while playing one of the newest video games named Romantic Thriller, a love cupid wizard, Riri, emerges from the screen and announces that he is there to fulfill Anzu's demands and help her get a partner in her life. Furthermore, Riri mentions that cupids like him from the magical realm will assist young people without prior romantic experience in finding love in order to fight Japan's plummeting birth rates. Despite this, Anzu shows no interest in playing the game. To tackle the situation, Riri seizes all of Anzu's games and chocolate and ensures that Anzu won't try to avoid the gorgeous guys in romantic circumstances that will now be a regular part of her life until she decides on a boyfriend. In addition, Riri transfers her father's job to America, and he wants to take Anzu's mother and Momohiki with him. When Anzu asks him why she cannot join, he replies that she is in high school, she can handle herself alone, and should complete her studies before getting transferred. The following day, Anzu's parents set off for the USA, leaving her alone in the house. Enraged, she visits different shops in search of chocolates, but every shop owner replies that they are out of stock. When Anzu walks out of one of the shops, she bumps into a handsome boy, Tsukasa, similar to that of the video game she was playing before. She apologizes to the boy for damaging his cell phone and flees the place. In the next scene, Anzu is ready to go to her school and is followed by Riri. Riri tells her that no one but she can see him. On her way to the train station, Anzu again trips and falls to the ground. To her surprise, Tsukasa approaches and looks at her. Anzu tells him that she is fine and feels embarrassed after noticing his uniform is similar to that of her high school. Soon, Tsukasa's friends arrive there and he walks away with them. At school, Anzu notices that Tsukasa is popular among girls and is quite arrogant. He rejects a couple of love proposals from the girls and mentions that he does not want to get involved in all this. Furthermore, when Anzu is at the cafeteria, coincidentally, she and Tsukasa order the same lunch. Annoyed by the girls trying to woo Tsukasa, Anzu finishes her lunch in a hurry and walks out of the cafeteria. Back at home, Anzu is facing problems spending her time without playing games, eating chocolates, and being with Momohiki. She contemplates for a while and believes that Riri is the one trying to bring Tsukasa closer to her, like the theme of the video game he programmed. Later in the evening, Anzu feels hungry and enters the kitchen to prepare dinner. To her bad luck, she spots a cockroach and gets afraid. She then runs out of her house, wearing 2 different types of slippers, and sits alone in the park. Suddenly, it starts pouring heavily, and Anzu takes shelter under a big cat in the park. She is hungry and has no idea how to return home. At the same time, Tsukasa arrives there and stands in front of her. He then offers Anzu to share his umbrella and take her home. At first, Anzu refuses, but later, after realizing that she has no options left, she agrees. Tsukasa then makes her feel comfortable and takes her to his house, where he lives alone. At Tsukasa's house, he provides Anzu with a towel to dry her wet hair and asks why she was sitting at the park alone. Anzu then tells him that her parents are away with her cat, and she is alone at her house. She also mentions that she saw a cockroach inside her kitchen, compelling her to leave the house in a hurry. Hearing this, Tsukasa asks her if she wants his help to kill the bug. Anzu replies yes, and then takes him to her house. She tries her best not to fall for the adorable face and behavior of Tsukasa. Moments later, the two arrive at Anzu's house and begin searching for the cockroach. Anzu assumes that the cockroach is lying under the table and jumps on Tsukasa, but sadly, it just turns out to be a lens cap. She then apologizes to Tsukasa for hurting him, and right then notices the cockroach crawling in front of them. Without wasting any time, Tsukasa grabs the newspaper, follows the cockroach, and kills it. After this, Tsukasa prepares to leave, but when he opens the door, he notices a huge storm outside. Anzu returns to the TV and gets to know that the storm is suspected to last the whole night, and the citizens are asked to remain inside their homes. Feeling awkward, Anzu goes inside the kitchen to make dinner and has difficulty selecting the dish to prepare. Right then, Riri appears and confesses that he is the one doing all of this to fill his dull life of Anzu with romance and love. Enraged, Anzu attacks him and drops her idea to make a great dish for Tsukasa. She then grabs 2 bowls of instant noodles and prepares them for dinner. Following this, Anzu realizes that the situation is turning out to be a sleepover chapter of the video game. She then decides to challenge the game rules and requests Tsukasa to spend the night at her house. Surprisingly, Tsukasa also agrees to do so. Anzu then urges Tsukasa to take a warm bath and provides him with her father's clothes to change into. She tries her best to make a bad impression on Tsukasa by wearing funny clothes, with her t-shirt tucked inside. In the next scene, Anzu invites Tsukasa to play board games and defeats him in the first one. But after that, while playing the treasure hunt game, Tsukasa mostly lands on the treasures with Anzu finding herself in debt. Riri appears behind Tsukasa and it is revealed that he is controlling the fate of the game. Because of Riri, Tsukasa wins the game, making Anzu feel betrayed. After some time, while Anzu is trying to make some scrambled eggs, she gets it all wrong and burns it. Tsukasa offers help and makes a delicious dish for them. Anzu likes the dish and finishes them all in a go. She asks him where he learned to make such dishes, and Tsukasa replies that he works part-time at a restaurant. Hearing this, Anzu asks Tsukasa to make something else for her lunch at school. Anzu feels that Tsukasa may not be as cold as she first thought, but she restrains herself before she feels anything for him. Riri, who is disappointed at Anzu for not using the golden opportunity to flirt and romance, uses his magic spell to put Anzu asleep. When Tsukasa tries to wake Anzu up, she holds his hand and won't let go because she's having a dream about hugging Momohiko. Tsukasa realizes that he hasn't had this much fun in a while and accepts that he is stuck for the evening. The next morning, when Anzu wakes up on Tsukasa's lap, she feels embarrassed. Tsukasa tells him that she didn't let go of his hand and compelled him to stay with her the whole night. He then looks through the window and after seeing perfect weather outside, he decides to leave. Before departing, Tsukasa thanks Anzu for letting him spend the night at her house. Later, Anzu goes to the kitchen and finds that she has forgotten to give Tsukasa his lunchbox. Anzu once more accuses Riri for the situation and realizes that she was holding Tsukasa's hand all night while sleeping. When thinking about this, Tsukasa arrives at her door and explains that the typhoon has flooded his residence. Anzu then visits his residence and offers to help in any way she can. Tsukasa asks for her phone number and suggests she go to school. Riri can be seen roaming around them, and we get to know that he is the one creating the situation. Anzu hands over the lunchbox to Tsukasa and goes to her school. In the next scene, while Anzu is having lunch with her friend at school, she gets a call from Tsukasa, asking her to meet him at Tutor Cafe after school. At school, Rina and Yukika, 2 of Tsukasa's admirers, accidentally learn that Tsukasa and Anzu are connected and live close. The teacher then insists that they both accompany Anzu and meet Tsukasa to find out about his situation. Afterward, Tsukasa can be seen waiting for Anzu at the cafe. To his annoyance, Anzu arrives at the cafe along with Rina and Yukika. The 2 fangirls immediately go near Tsukasa and reserve their place. Tsukasa is so irate by the girls that he forbids Rina and Yukika from following as he departs with Anzu. Later, he explains to Anzu that he prefers to spend time with her because girls like Rina, who persistently want his attention when he is not interested in dating, are tiresome. Hearing this, Anzu realizes that she may be Tsukasa's friend without facing the risk of romance between them if he isn't interested in dating. Since there are no vacant apartments available at the moment in the area, Tsukasa runs into trouble, as he has no place to put his belongings and spend the night. Anzu knows that Riri is the one troubling Tsukasa and trying to make them spend some time together. When his realtor informs him about the lack of a vacant apartment, Tsukasa has no options left and reluctantly asks to temporarily reside with Anzu at her house. Anzu is incensed that Riri so deftly used them, but she accepts so Tsukasa won't end up homeless. She imagines having awesome dishes prepared by Tsukasa, and the next day, Anzu observes that Tsukasa is a diligent worker and has skills in performing almost all of the household chores. Riri appears to remind Anzu that dating sims feature various males. and that it is time to advance to the next stage in order to jumpstart her romantic life. Right then, another hot guy, a long-forgotten childhood friend of Anzu, knocks on the door and Tsukasa also notices him. The handsome boy introduces himself as Junta Hayami and claims to have known Anzu since elementary school. When Junta asks about Tsukasa, Anzu replies that he is crashing at her place because of a problem in his apartment. Junta takes it casually when Tsukasa leaves for school. Anzu then enters her house to get her bag and confronts Riri for putting her in a complicated situation. In the following scene, when Anzu leaves for school, she finds Junta waiting for her outside her house. Together, the two leave for school and on their way talk about their childhood memories. Riri implies creating false memories in Junta's head, having a crush on Anzu since elementary school. Riri also mentions that if Anzu wants to complete the game quickly, she merely needs to choose the simple path and start dating Junta. To avoid confusing Junta, Anzu is compelled to participate in the phony friendship. When they run across Anzu's real friend, Saki, Anzu learns that everyone in the school has been controlled by Riri and makes them lie about Anzu and Junta being friends. Saki also recognizes Junta and the three walk together to school. Anzu also feels comfortable talking and walking with her childhood friends to school. At the train station, when Tsukasa is talking to his friend, Rina approaches him and asks him why he abandoned them at the cafe the other day. Seeing a new mobile phone with Tsukasa, she also requests him to exchange their numbers, but sadly, Tsukasa refuses to do so. Seeing this, his friends ask him to be polite to girls and not to walk away from girls who were fond of him. Later at school, while Tsukasa is walking around with his friend Mikoto, he runs into Junta and his group. When they cross, Tsukasa asks Mikoto about Junta and his friend replies that Junta is the top scorer in their basketball game and is very popular. On the other hand, Junta asks his friend about Tsukasa and gets to know that he is very famous among girls and also good at studies. During lunch, Tsukasa asks Anzu to meet him outside and exchanges their lunchboxes as Anzu had misplaced them. At the same time, Mikoto arrives there and catches the two conversing. After talking for a while, the three of them sit in the park to have lunch together. Rina and Yukika notice Anzu having lunch with Tsukasa and get jealous of her. After school, Rina asks Anzu to meet her as she has important work to do. Following her request, Anzu follows her and Yukika and stops at a lonely road behind the school. Right then, Tsukasa also notices Anzu with the girls, and he and Junta follow her. On the lonely street, the two fangirls ask Anzu if she has feelings for Tsukasa. Without thinking twice, Anzu declines it and mentions that they are just friends. Hearing this, the two girls request Anzu to set them up with Tsukasa. Knowing that Tsukasa is not interested in dating, Anzu refuses their request, making them angry. All of a sudden, a cute girl arrives there and starts teasing the two fangirls for their appearance, causing them to walk away from there. At last, the girl introduces herself as Riri, who has changed himself from a wizard to a girl for the sake of the game. Romantic thriller.